SummerSlam is right around the corner, and we're here to discuss some of its biggest questions. I'm Will. That's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers. Talk about some wrestling, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of quickly turning into a stipulation SummerSlam. You got some matches with some stipulations, and honestly, I'm here for it. That's exciting.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. We got a bunch of stuff happening. We got a big old 6-way tag match announced on Friday Night SmackDown. That thing is going to steal the whole show. But we're going to acknowledge all the biggest questions going into it. And let's start with the biggest one that there is. The one that everybody's probably talked about 5 times at this point. But we're going to give our final little, prediction at this part of the match, which is Cody Rhodes and John Cena. They're in a street fight main eventing night 2 is what it's looking like. And everybody wants to know, is the double turn going to happen? Is Cody Rhodes going to turn heel and John Cena going to walk out as a face after SummerSlam is over?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to go no on this one with the double turn. I think originally I would have said yes, and then I think you had a fantastic point where I think we just maybe get an edgier Cody, like a doesn't take any crap Cody. So I think we do get Cena turning face. I think Cody's laid the groundwork perfectly to where story-wise you're like, yeah, this makes perfect sense for John to return as the running down the ramp, talking to Stu, throwing the hat. Like they've got an easy way out pretty much with John going back to the face side of things. And honestly, I'm ready for that. I've enjoyed John Cena's heel run, but I really just kind of want to enjoy face John Cena for the rest of the retirement tour. And Cody's really been hinting at edgier Cody, doesn't take any crap, uses things to his advantage, right? Like the Randy Orton back stuff. And this is a street fight to where I think he's going to take advantage. He's going to use a bunch of weapons. He's going to maybe see like that side we saw a little bit of Cody versus Kevin Owens. So something like that.
Yeah, I don't see the double turn happening. What I see is John Cena turning face because I do think that we get John Cena being a face for the remainder of his time here. We kind of want it at this point as much as I've loved the heel run as it's been. I really have. But what I do think that we get from Cody Rhodes is kind of a correction on kind of the nitpicks that people had in his big first babyface stint as champion. Like a lot of people kind of were like, he kind of comes out and he cuts the babyface promo, he tears up at all this stuff and he's kind of just like by the books WWE good old babyface. So now I think you kind of just rewrite him as being a babyface, but now he's got that layer of attitude toward him. He's very, like you said, edgier. He's willing to do the stuff that he needs to do. He'll hit you with the belt. He'll put you through the ladder like he did Kevin Owens. So I think that we're going to come out of SummerSlam with an edgier Cody Rhodes. That's going to be a lot more interesting in my opinion. Like I'm excited for that, but also we're going to get John Cena coming back to being a face. So not a full double turn, but more of like a face and attitude face.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think this run with Cody, obviously we'll get into the predictions later on down the road, but I think a lot of people are hesitant because Cody's first run with the title wasn't very good. I mean, they didn't do any favors for Cody, but I think if you do have this edgier Cody, kind of like what he showed when he made Cena sign the contract, it just makes it so much more interesting and opens up so many different layers that you weren't able to get to before. So I think this time they're going to basically correct it, like you said.
Yep. It's going to be good. Again, full predictions for every match will be out later this week. So, subscribe, follow all that stuff to make sure you don't miss it. But let's also stay real quick on the Cody Cena thing. So it is a street fight. There's reasons that we have these stipulations, especially at these big shows, because, especially lately in the WWE over the past couple years, run-ins and stuff like that are just running wild at this point, man. It's absolutely crazy. We're kind of on the side of we like it. It's shenanigans. It's fun. But street fights happening. Travis Scott, not a part of the company anymore. I guess they've had a falling out. Oh no, boo-hoo. We all know that Dwayne's probably not showing up, but it's a street fight. Is somebody going to come out there and try to help John Cena win this match?
Yeah, I think when you talk about that, we enjoy this stuff. We enjoy it. Sometimes we're like, man, that's what we get. We get a great match, and you're like, dang it, I don't want this. I don't know. I don't think anybody's going to help John. I think John has really made a list of enemies throughout this time that, like, storyline wise, why would anybody come out to help John, right? He's really burnt every bridge there is to burn. And I don't really see that happening. As for Cody's side of things, I don't really see that kind of happening either. I really kind of have it's a one-on-one street fight with no run-ins, especially you have a bunch of other stuff throughout the weekend that storyline wise, you're like, okay, that makes sense for like a run-in in terms of matches. So I think this is just kind of like a knockdown, drag out fight sort of thing. And that's what you get. I don't think we get any run-ins here. I don't even know who it could be.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we get any run-ins because I think John Cena has burnt every bridge on his way during this heel turn. So I don't think anybody's going to help John Cena. And then I don't think it really makes sense right now for anybody to come help Cody Rhodes. People are going to say like Randy Orton and stuff like that. But given the past like month of stuff, I don't see that happening either. I think that the street fight stipulation is just 100% to prove what we just said about Cody turning more edgy. Like the street fight is going to show that he is an edgier version of himself. He's going to take it to another level. He's not going to hesitate at all. And that's the reason that we're having the street fight, not necessarily for the run-ins and shenanigans that we normally have had during this John Cena heel run.
Yeah, I think if you have somebody come in to help Cody, like a run-in, I think that damages the whole idea, right?
Yeah.
It makes it like, okay, well, yeah, you could be more edgy, but you couldn't do it without Randy. You couldn't do it without, I don't know, R-Truth, or I don't know, whoever you want to throw out there, right? It's just kind of like, it would be kind of like a sour note on what would be a really good idea. So I think for that reason alone, you just have it just one-on-one.
Agreed. We'll move it on, though. Apparently, it's being reported, and this might be falsified by the time this comes out tomorrow, but right now, at the moment, people are acting as though the tag team match is going to main event night one. Roman Reigns, Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. And if this does main event night one, what does that tell you about this match? Like, what should we expect?
Yeah, it's the first time hearing about it. I didn't even have time to really think about it. So here we go. I don't know. Something big's going to happen then, I would assume, right? You get some more cinema, I would assume. I'm still really on the thought process of like, hey, Braun Breaker or Bronson Reed, they need this win, especially with Roman going away. And Jay's kind of just been the hype man, the mascot. He's really kind of laid into that. They've really just been like, okay, you don't have the title anymore, so you're just going to come out and yeet, and yeet, and yeet, and yeet. So I do think there's going to be another twist, another turn. Like I said, some more cinema stuff. Probably get Plan B. Maybe you get an introduction of a new member, I think. If it is going to be that, there's a reason that it main events, especially when you have Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, that cinema stuff alone, right? That's part of the reason why they were the main event night one of Mania. You just do it again, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is great stuff again. Just give it to me.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. If this does main event, that tells me that they're pulling out something new in terms of a plan B, like they were talking about a while back that Seth Rollins went and tried to do. And now that Seth Rollins is injured, what better time to pull off plan B? And he comes out and somebody joins this group that really changes the game. Now, who it could be, I have no idea. I really have no guesses at this point because like Ethan Page was the early answer, but he's already doing big stuff in NXT right now that you can't just pull him out of. So I have really no idea who you would add. But I think that if this is officially going to main event, we are going to get a new member that changes the entire game for the Braun and Bronson faction. And honestly, without Seth, I feel like it's needed if you want to continue it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I feel like it's needed. I do think at times, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think Bronson Reed's kind of been the lost member of the faction when there's only currently two of them on there. So it's like, does this person come in and kind of take Bronson Reed's spot? And Bronson Reed is once again relegated to like the bottom part of the faction. I really had some high hopes for him that haven't really been there. Yeah. Like you said, I don't know who it could be. It's got to be somebody big, because if it's just, I don't know, Joe Schmo around the corner, you're like, oh, okay, well, that didn't really move the needle.
Yeah, I was trying to think about it. I got nothing. I got like no members in my head. Austin Theory's hurt, man. You know, can't be Austin Theory.
Yeah, El Grande.
There you go. Why not?
Always put him in stuff.
We'll stay a little bit on this track. Well, we're going to address this thing has been talked about more than anything else going into the SummerSlam. Seth Rollins and his injury. I mean, that's floating around. We do have Gunther and CM Punk facing each other for the World Championship this weekend at SummerSlam. And a lot of people are speculating that the Seth Rollins injury is a little bit overhyped and kind of quote-unquote fake. Is there any way Seth Rollins is faking the injury, comes back, and cashes in at SummerSlam?
I'll be honest. If that is the case, I will be shocked. I will be worked all to hell, as they say. I really do think he is hurt, especially with that tag match main eventing night one, reportedly, right? That's really kind of where you would have saved that for, I feel like. So I think he is hurt. I think he is legitimately injured. You can just have him hold on to the briefcase, let him recover, let him get healthy, and then down the road he can cash in at maybe, let's say, like a Rumble, something like that. I can understand why some people think that it could be an injury or a fake or real, or it's such like a tough discussion that we're like, I've even second guessed myself, like, man, there are some really good hints with this, but I do think he's injured. So I think we hold off onto it. And honestly, if that's the case, maybe Punk doesn't win. I mean, that implication is a big ripple effect, because then you have the storyline of he doesn't want Punk to be champ, right? So it's like, does Punk become champ while he's hurt? How does he feel? How does that happen? All this stuff. So big ripple effect, but I'm going to say no cash in.
Yeah, I don't think he's faking the injury. I really don't. I think it's legit. I think that WWE fans are getting their high hopes up, and that's awesome, right? Like if it were to randomly happen and he were to be faking the injury and he runs out there, the music hits, and he does like a drop the crutch situation with the cash in and cashes in on CM Punk, man, that would be absolutely insane. It would easily be the biggest pop of the weekend, the biggest moment, and arguably the biggest cash in of all time by a mile. But like me personally, if I had to put money on it, I don't see it happening. I think the man's injured, and I think that they're giving him like a 4 to 6 month time frame, so he's able to come back down the line and still be the Money in the Bank briefcase holder. So like we're gonna get that later on. So unfortunately, he's injured, I think, and we're not getting a cash in.
Be like the Kevin Nash thing,
yeah,
where he lifts the blanket up.
That would be awesome though. Start spinning the crutch like he used to do the belts. I'd be down. Let's stick to tag matches though. Women's tag team match, and this is sort of on the same vein as the Seth Rollins thing. The second biggest thing that's talked about is the idea of Liv Morgan injury not being a thing, right? She's not as hurt as they kind of giving off. That's the speculation or what people are wanting. Is there any chance at SummerSlam that Miss Liv Morgan does return?
Yeah, this one's another one. You're sitting there thinking about it. You're like, golly. I'm going to say she returns. I don't think she does anything physical. I think maybe just the music hits and she comes out and there's more of just a appearance sort of thing to where that way she could still technically be injured, but she does make an appearance of some way, somehow. It being in her hometown, home state, right? Like you look at that and it's like, I feel like she doesn't want to miss that. So even if it is just a little tiny sliver of something, I feel like she's going to make an appearance, right? They've also kind of hinted at it at times, like, oh, well, she's not really hurt. She's been rehabbing. And I'm like, oh my God, like maybe there is something there. So maybe it's like false hope, blind faith. I'm going to say yes. And I think she ends up costing Raquel and Roxanne, but obviously we'll get to that later on down the road.
Yeah, I do think that she shows up, and I'm 100% with you. If we weren't doing SummerSlam in her hometown building, I might think otherwise, but I think that she does show up, not in like a physical sense and like in-ring sense. Like I don't think she's going to go out there and like hit the oblivion on Roxanne or anything like that, anything crazy. But I do think she shows up in one way, shape, or form and really reinserts her opinions and emotions into what's been going on in the Judgment Day and how they've been able to kind of seamlessly get themselves back up to the title picture area without Liv Morgan, and so I do think she comes back at SummerSlam, makes a big appearance, and reinserts her into the Judgment Day story one way or another. So hopefully it happens because it'd be awesome. And
yeah, I mean, you look at that match, and then you look at the Dom match. Like, there's potential there. There has to be some sort of way she makes some sort of appearance, even if she comes out in like a little sling or something, right?
Yeah,
I think there's something.
And then she fakes the sling and takes the sling. Kevin Nash, Liv Morgan version. Hey, Kevin Nash, big fan of Raquel Rodriguez.
Yeah.
So,
ever since he gave her that advice, she's really been taking that to heart.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's awesome.
Looking great.
Let's stick on Dom. Guy showed up in AAA and just tore the roof down.
He's a star.
Dude.
That man El Grande, they're the both big stars, I tell you.
Stone cold level pop when that man unmasked. That was crazy. Do you see Rey Mysterio? He put a picture.
Did see it. Yeah. I also did see like, yo, you might be the best Mysterio ever. Not.
Hashtag not.
God, you son of a.
It's not how you use hashtags, Ray. You dead beat. Anyway, Dom's facing AJ Styles for the United States or the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam. AJ hasn't been able to touch Dom for the last month because he's had doctor's notes. All right. Can't work when you hurt, especially in that type of environment where you're getting beat up. But we also, as we just talked about, we have the Liv Morgan stuff. We have the Judgment Day stuff that's been happening. And the one person who hasn't really been all smiles with the Judgment Day success lately is Dom. He hasn't really spoken out against it, but he, in the background, he's always given his like unsure smirks and his unsureness. Say Liv Morgan does return and Dom match happens. Is there any way that we do get like the full Judgment Day fallout here at SummerSlam where maybe Liv and Dom do full split away from the rest of Judgment Day?
Well, and I believe you have Finn and JD defending the tag titles on Raw.
Yep.
I believe. So there's a real chance that nobody in Judgment Day has titles. They go from being at the top to being at the bottom real quick. I think that's probably the biggest thing for me is how does that break down? How does the match on Monday happen? Does Dom try to help? Does he not? What ends up happening there? The Liv Morgan stuff, I don't know if that necessarily plays a big part in the Dom match specifically. I think that would be more of like the Finn JD stuff like you're talking about. And I think Finn probably ends up costing it. Like if Finn and JD lose those tag titles and then Liv makes an appearance, Raquel and Roxanne lose the tag titles, I think Finn's going to do everything in his power to make sure Dom loses that title. So it really kind of all like this domino and this domino have to fall in order to get to the last domino. Yeah. But I do think that ends up happening.
That would be awesome. That's exactly what should happen, I think. I think it's just time to break up the Judgment Day. I'm really wanting Dom to do his own thing. If Liv doesn't show up, Liv doesn't show up. She's injured, and that is what it is. But I think you're right. We do have a good week set up here where if Finn and JD lose, and then somehow Raquel and Roxanne lose, Finn ain't gonna let that man walk out of SummerSlam as the only champion. So we could really have the moment where Finn and Dom do finally break up, and then we go post SummerSlam. We finally get the feud that I think we've been talking about for a year and a half. I don't even 2 years. It feels like the Judgment Day split that everybody's been talking about for years, and Dom versus Finn would just that's big time money, man. That'd be awesome. So hopefully it does happen. Honestly,
yeah, I think. And some people might push back on that whole idea, but like you said, I'm ready for Dom to be on his own.
Yep.
I think that pop from the AAA stuff alone is like, hey, this is the next big star kind of in waiting. And I think we all kind of know Dom's potential star power, right? But it's here. Like it's now. So like we probably need to start that stuff. And as much as it's been nice having him like in the Judgment Day stuff, it's really kind of just like clouded the potential for Dom and kind of held that back at times. And I'm just ready for Dom on his own.
Yeah, for a while there, it felt like Judgment Day was the right thing for Dom because it felt like those were the stepping stones that he needed. But now it kind of feels like that's the one thing keeping him back. Like we're this close to just letting him become like one of the next big stars, one of the this generation's Eddie in a lot of ways. And it's just like he always has that Judgment Day thing just weighing him down a little bit. And it's like, okay, I'm ready. Let's break through. Let's break away. Let's change it up though. Let's go to Lyra and Bayley, or Lyra and Becky. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. That's always a tough thing for me. I'm always getting Bayley, Becky. I'm always getting the names confused, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's tough.
Anyway, they're in a no DQ, no anything. And if Lyra loses, she could never challenge Becky Lynch again for the Intercontinental Championship. Here's the thing. Bayley's been around this thing the entire time. We getting a Bayley run-in here at SummerSlam?
I think we do get a Bayley run-in. I think it's 100% a Bayley run-in. That's why you put the stipulation on the match. You have Bayley saying that there's water under the bridge, and she's kind of outgrown the upset, the anger that she had towards Lyra, and now she's just ready to start new, basically. Well, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because it seems like Bayley's lying, right? So it seems like the little heel turn for Bayley's kind of happening more and more and more. They're hinting at it. At this point, she's almost had more heel face turns than the Big Show. I mean, it's up there, right? It's this generation's Big Show. So yeah, I think you end up getting a Bayley run-in, and she goes after Lyra, and who knows kind of how the match unfolds. That's really what I'm excited for to see. I wanted a stipulation on this match. We get what's going to be a no DQ, no count out, no anything really. So we'll see how this kind of goes, but Bayley has to make an appearance. She has to kind of be on the SummerSlam card, which is why you were like, well, this is kind of weird. She misses out. It's just a singles match. Well, this is the perfect way to kind of insert her. She's been that third piece to this great feud. So yeah, she has to make a run in.
Completely agree. That's the reason that they have put this stipulation on there. That's the whole reason, in my opinion. I mean, we've had the story lined up since WrestleMania. That's how long it's been. This whole Bayley, Becky, Lyra thing has been going on this entire time. It's time. Bayley's going to come out there. She's going to do a good old-fashioned heel turn, I assume. I don't know where that aligns the whole story post SummerSlam, because I guess it all turns out like, or it all relies on who ends up winning the match, which we'll get to our predictions later down the road. But like, if you have Lyra win and she does take the belt off, do you just have Becky and Bayley be some like heel women's tag team, throw them at that division, build them up that way? That would be kind of cool. But if, Becky retains, and like, do Lyra and Bayley just blood feud off and Becky goes on and defends the title against others? I don't really know, but it's going to be cool. I think I always like Bayley more as a heel anyways. So let's just get her back to being a heel. She does good work there. So I do think it's happening.
Yeah, I think that's the Bayley run-in is the easiest question to answer.
Yeah.
It's all the other questions afterwards of like, how does the match go down? Who wins? If this person wins, there's these questions. If this person wins, there's these questions. So a lot of questions just out of that one little feud.
It's going to be good. That match is going to be awesome. Mm-hmm. I want to see blood in that match. That feels like a blood match.
I'm sure somebody will accidentally I could see Becky getting accidentally busted open or something. Yeah.
I didn't think about this one. I was kind of, when we were getting ready to film this, I was scouring through the internet, kind of what other people's hot takes were walking into SummerSlam. And the idea, I've been thinking about the Naomi match a lot. She just won that damn championship, yet she's facing Rhea Ripley and Io Sky in a triple threat match. And we've talked about it in the past week or so about what the plans are going to look like in the future, right? We think that Rhea Ripley is going to be a big part of everything going on. So it's hard to imagine Naomi winning this. But there are some people who are putting out the idea that Naomi wins because of a Bianca Belair heel turn to help her go over at SummerSlam. Is there any chance that this happens?
Oh, goodness. I didn't even think of that.
I know.
Yeah, I had no idea.
I know.
Oh, man. I've kind of given up a little bit of hope on the Bianca heel turn, I think, honestly. And if anything, to me, when Jade won the match against Naomi at Evolution and she looked side-eyed at Bianca, that pretty much told me, hey, after Jade and Tiffany is over, after that happens at SummerSlam, the next big thing for Jade is Bianca. So I think if there's some sort of heel turn, like I think Bianca and Jade is separate from the Naomi stuff. I think that's kind of how it is right now. I mean, it kind of almost seems like that's how it has to be, right? Because Bianca is on a different show and Naomi's on a different show. And they've really kind of had no mention of the Naomi, like Bianca, Jade stuff while Naomi's been separated, right? They kind of were able to do a clean break. So I don't think so. I think if there is anything down the road, if you do get a Bianca heel turn, it is maybe, let's say, if Jade wins the title, something like that. There's a celebration on SmackDown, crowning of the next queen of WWE or something like that, right? And then maybe Bianca interrupts, and maybe that's where you get that there.
Yeah, I don't see it happening as much as I'm always the number one fan of turning Bianca Belair heel. I love the idea. I think that she'd be absolutely incredible being a heel on the main roster like she was back in the day in NXT. But I don't see it happening. I don't even know if we're going to get any Bianca or Jade, any of that stuff within the Naomi match. I just don't foresee that. I think that Naomi's going to try to, like the triple threat stipulation can be enough for somebody like Naomi to find a way to squeak out a win. And I'm with you. I think the Bianca stuff is more what's going to happen with Jade post the Jade Tiffany match with whatever happens there. So I don't think so. I think Naomi's now kind of standing on her own as champion. And if she does end up winning this match, it's going to be on her own heelish ways more than it will be a crazy heel turn like Bianca running out and helping her.
Yeah, for the same things I said about the Cody Rhodes stuff where you get an edgier Cody, right? Naomi kind of almost needs a win to like solidify the importance of how good she can be like in the ring. The character stuff's there, right? But you're like, oh, well, she got the cash in. That's sometimes like a cheap, easy way out sort of thing, right? So I think Naomi kind of needs the win to kind of solidify herself there.
Yeah, Naomi with this new character talking about a win over Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. She cooked. You know she gonna cook.
Yeah.
And our last question here that I want to throw out there. We have Jade. We just talked about her a little bit. We're not going to get into our full predictions because obviously, once again, prediction video will coming out down the line this week. But is it time to end Tiffy time? Is it time for Tiffany to get rid of that title?
Yeah, I think I would say so. I think you could kind of do like a character reset for Tiffany. The over-the-top babyface, I didn't really enjoy that run, right? I understand why you kind of had to do it because of the Charlotte Flair stuff and you kind of had to lean into it a little bit. But her with like Nia Jax and stuff, and you had like she was over still with the crowd, but she was still like a little heelish and leaned a little bit more towards that. A lot of the stuff kind of in NXT as well. Like her character, like we said with Cody Rhodes, is much more interesting when she's not an over-the-top babyface. Maybe she could still be babyface, but a little edgier, a little bit more of a tweener aspect as well. I'm just kind of ready for that Tiffany to come back. I'm ready for kind of a reset for her. I thought they hinted at it a little bit here and there at times, but they've kind of abandoned that. So I would say yes, just kind of end the Tiffy time for now, have her kind of reset, and then kind of ascend after that.
Yeah, I think that it's time for Tiffy time to end. And that's no hatred toward Tiffany Stratton. I love her, and I think she's going to win 50 more titles in her string here, right? If I can talk, in her career, she's going to win a lot more titles, right? This was go number one. And I thought that it was probably like a C minus title reign, maybe not even. But that's just that's a discussion with overall WWE right now. They're having issues booking title reigns. So I'm not going to fully put that on Tiffany. But I'm with you. I think we should get the title off her and then, make her more back into a tweener where she is not this full baby face. Because I feel like that really does hold her back at times. I'd rather her be cocky, go back to that sort of era of herself that, I mean, she's always cocky because it's always tippy time, but I mean, be cocky and also do some heelish moves here and there and be kind of a POS at times. That's when Tiffany Stratton is at her best. So I do think it's time for Tiffany Stratton's title reign to end, but will it? We'll find out. We'll find out down the road. Anyway, those were our biggest questions. Unless I was trying to think of one for the Fatu. What do you think there? Anything for the Fatu? I mean, the cross match, whatever.
The only thing for me with the Fatu stuff is like, will the steel cage end up keeping everybody out?
No.
I think it's kind of the thing, and I think it's a pretty simple no. Not going to be the thing. I think you have that there.
Okay, I mean, there's one thing that you have Fatu, you have Jimmy, and then you have the MFT. They're going to be any evening out? Is there going to be a member added? And is maybe, I mean, Zilla is now, he's made his appearance on TNA. Any chance that they, boost him even further up into the main roster at any point?
I'm going to say not him.
Yeah, me neither.
I do think Tamatanga comes back. I do think
Tamatanga, yeah.
Maybe you get the yeahs to come back, and maybe you get a little bit more of an evening there.
Yeah, I could do a little Tamatanga, will he, won't he, where he's looking back and forth. He looks at Jacob and goes, yeah, and he sides with Jacob. Pop would go crazy.
And then he's like, yeah, I don't mean yeah. Like, you could just have that.
Yeah.
Because at this point, Jacob Fatu is a lot of catchphrases in his promos. And if you had Tamatanga in the background just saying, yeah, all the time, you could sign me up for that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Especially if they do pull the trigger and Jimmy does end up moving over to Raw, like they say.
That would suck.
Because that's the rumor, right?
I know,
that he's moving over. And so it's like, well, Jacob really kind of needs some help.
They're really just going to leave you in the dust, bud. Anyway, those were our biggest SummerSlam questions. Let us know in the comments what you think the answers are to all of them. And if you have questions of your own, because we'd love to answer them in the comment section and get to talk in there. So thank you very much. Make sure to stop by all of our live streams this week on youtube.com/@CodWrestlePod, where we'll be watching Raw, SmackDown, and both nights of SummerSlam this weekend. So that's going to be absolutely great. And then if you want to check out more of our content at CodWrestlePod, COD WrestlePod, and everything else, we have a link tree in our bio. It shoots you to everything, all of our socials. Please go ahead and follow those as well. We appreciate the hell out of it. But I'm Will. That's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. We will see you next time.